Hello, my name is Janel Kisner. I'm thrilled to present to you today for the National Deaf Education Conference. I hope this presentation will benefit you in providing online courses in the future. As we know, the COVID pandemic has changed a lot in our lives. The topic of my presentation today is 9 tips for designing a successful online course for deaf and hard of hearing students. Of course, some of these tips can apply to hearing students as well. Number 1, prepare in advance. You should prepare your online content and know that process may take some time. Oftentimes, that takes more time than preparing content for face-to-face learning. With deaf and hard of hearing students, it's important that you include video content, and the amount of time to make that video content can be high. To create a 1 or 2 minute video, it can require up to 30 minutes of your time. This is why it's important for you to search for pre-made content in order to add it to your lessons. Most content, if not all, should be ready to go on your website. You can organize it by unit, quarter, semester, or even upload it as the full year. When your content is on your website, you should make sure that your students are confident with the process and they know how to navigate it. You may choose to hide future content until it is ready to go, or post it all at once. What's important is that the content for that week be available to students. To help you plan, you should create a curriculum map or curriculum plan, or some other type of outline that you will include in your course lessons. That will help to make sure that students can follow the process in your course. Number 2, have clear expectations. The beginning of the course should have clear expectations explained to students, and those should be reiterated throughout the semester. For example, when assignments are due, how to submit, and so on. I suggest that assignments be due at the same day and same time every week. As an example, you could set your assignments to be due on Tuesdays and Fridays at 3 o'clock. In my course, I tend to set due dates on Fridays and Sundays at midnight, sometimes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What's important is that you set consistent times, both in day and times of day, and that your expectations are also clear and thorough. You shouldn't just say, look at page 25, but you should give more examples of what the assignment is so that students know what to expect and they're confident in their ability to fulfill the assignment's expectations. Number 3, organize your content. Online content should be organized clearly so that it is easy to find. Use different folders or collections of units, weeks, and so on to organize your content. In my ASL course, I organize it by quarters, so I have one folder for each of the 3 quarters, and then in those folders, I have it organized by week. Inside each week's folder is a series of lessons, instruction, resources, and assignments. That makes it easy for students to look for and find what it is that they're doing at that period in time by focusing on the folder structure. Use clear labels so that they know where to find resources, where they can submit assignments and find their grades. I would suggest that you use keywords in your assignment titles. As an example, if you have a unit on, or a module on the Black Death, right? That's appropriate to our COVID lives now. Use action verbs for your resources and assignments. As an example, you might say, assignment number 1, read, causes of the Black Death. That means that students see that title and they know that it is expected that they read something. Then assignment number 2 could say, write, respond to the Black Death reading. Again, when students see that title, they know that they're going to need to respond to that reading by writing or in some other way. Then third, discuss, the causes of Black Death or the effects of Black Death and COVID on society. Again, now they know that they're going to need to discuss this with their classmates. So use keywords before the titles to help students know what is expected of them. Another tip related to organizing your content is that you might consider posting the most recent content at the top and go up from there as time goes on, so that the oldest content would be toward the bottom. If you upload all of your content at the same time, you might not use this structure. You might want to put week 1 at the top, followed by week 2, 3, 4, and so on toward the bottom. But consider how you post content in your course. If you put the more recent information toward the top, it's easier for students to find. If you use Schoology, Canvas, or some other LMS, use their features, the ones that they include, such as including pictures, changing the font size, color, and styling, to draw attention. Schoology and Canvas both allow folders to have different colors. Use that to help students find what they may be looking for more easily. Number 4, make assignments manageable. Expectations for your assignments and the amount of work that you expect students to put into that assignment should be realistic. When you're planning content for online courses, it's time-consuming for you. The same is true for your students in order to finish those assignments. When you're in face-to-face classrooms, students will have access to the teacher. They'll have access to peers, maybe aides or librarians. A lot of people to provide support for them to finish these assignments, and they have ready access to those people. You have to consider if they have that online. They don't always have that at home. Remember, many of our deaf and hard of hearing students don't have access to communication at home, so we can't expect that their parents or other family members will be able to provide the same kinds of supports. When we provide assignments through online learning, we should consider whether students can finish those independently or if they're going to need support, and whether you as a teacher can provide that type of support through video chats or other methods. This is something that we need to consider when we're designing the content of the course. So when you design assignments, make sure that you're designing them to be finished in an appropriate amount of time and independently by the student. You should think about what a good amount of time should be. Sometimes you may think that an assignment will take 5 or 10 minutes to finish, whereas a student will take 2 or 3 hours. A perfect example of this happened to me recently. When COVID hit, I started working from home, teaching from home, and my daughter's school closed. So she was learning at home. One day we were working separately, and she was working on an assignment from school. The American School for the Deaf is proud to sponsor the National Deaf Education Conference, which has created the NDEC Signs and NDEC Engage series this year. During the pandemic, we need to be creative and thoughtful about how we reach our communities, and NDEC has done that for our instructors, administrators, and parents. Thank you. So she was working on this assignment all day, and the next day she did the same. It took her 2 full days to complete it. I noticed that she was doing this, and she seemed to be putting a lot of work into this assignment. So I asked her to show me the assignment and the assignment description. I looked over it, and I was surprised because to myself, I thought that it would take maybe 2 or 3 hours to finish. But she spent 2 full days on that assignment. Plus, of course, she had other assignments from other courses that she should have been doing. She has 8 classes that she should have been doing in the meantime, but she's spent 2 full days focused on this one project. So think about that. Ask yourself if you think that your students can complete these assignments independently in the amount of time that you expect them to do it. Make sure that they have the right information that they need in order to complete these assignments. The last thing that you should consider is the amount of days that a student has to complete the work. In my online ASL class, students have 7 to 10 days to finish each assignment that I give them, from the time in which that assignment opens until the time in which it's due. Sometimes, if I have a short assignment, I may give them 5 days. But you have to think about that. Technology may not always work. Sometimes students don't have a great internet connection. Sometimes a computer may go broken or an iPad will break. Think about the fact that many of these students are working at home and they may only have one computer shared among 5 children. These are things that we need to keep in mind when developing our course and the expectations for assignments being due. Number 5, model assignments. In your face-to-face classroom, when you introduce new content, new concepts, new ideas, you tend to interact with your students, right? Discussing what it is that you're introducing. You may write on the board or have discussions with your class. Through these types of interactions, your students learn what it is that you're trying to present to them. This may include video projections. You need to consider this for online learning, especially for deaf and hard of hearing students. Make sure that you include descriptions of the assignment both in ASL and in English. For written work, what I tend to do is include questions that I post or pictures that provide examples. You can write, or if your LMS allows for it, you can change the color of the font to show that these are examples that you're offering. You may even want to include videos of yourself writing on a board or explaining how these concepts apply to the assignment. For example, if you ask your students to write 10 subject-verb pairs, what you could do is take a picture of a sentence or use color to show an example of one sentence, or you can even make a video of yourself writing a sentence on a board and then explain how that applies to the rest of the assignment. Whether it's for ASL or verbal assignments, use video to show yourself doing that assignment or at least part of it. When you include models in your assignments, your students will feel that they have a better understanding of what is expected of them and how to complete the work. Number 6, provide timely and consistent feedback. E-assignments should be graded regularly and consistently, especially if you and your students are new to online learning. Regular feedback helps your students know that they're doing what is expected of them. It will also help students who may be struggling for you to identify them and intervene if necessary. Regular grading also helps students feel more confident in their work, so that when they submit an assignment, they're getting feedback on a regular basis, and that they're beginning to get on the right track with online learning. If you don't provide feedback in a timely manner, these students may feel stuck and not confident in the work that they're doing. They may lose motivation because they never hear from teachers, so it's important to provide them feedback. Number 7, utilize resources available to you. Don't be afraid to use different resources to help scaffold your own teaching. This is especially true for developing online content. I think there are 3 main ways that we can get resources from among us. Check in with resources at your school. For example, your tech specialists, your media specialists, even a technical teacher or somebody that you know who is skilled in technology. Ask them for help. I know most people that I've asked are thrilled to help out. Secondly, check in with your technology company. See if there are professional development opportunities for training. If your school uses iPads or Apple devices, check with Apple. They have something called Apple Teacher, and they provide free training on how to use iPads and laptops in your classroom. They also provide training on some of the apps that are included. And they have some lessons and other resources that will help scaffold your teaching. These are all free, and you can earn a certification by going through it. Google Education also has training about their own technology. They can teach you how to use apps that are included in the Google ecosystem. For example, Google Slides, Google Classroom, and so on. You can also become certified in Google Education products through those trainings. Microsoft has a similar program for their educational resources. Similar to Google, they'll show you how to use the apps that are included in the Microsoft suite, and you can become certified if you're interested. All of these resources are free to you. Lastly, check with your professional association to see what resources they may have. Their website often has resources available that you can use in your teaching, especially now with distance learning becoming so prevalent. Number 8, allow collaboration and communication among peers. One big drawback to distance learning is the access to peer support. Students miss their friends. Community is so important, especially for deaf and hard of hearing students. Remember that at home, many of our students don't have access to communication, so they may feel alone. It's important then that we provide opportunities for them to communicate with their peers. Not only that, students learn from each other, oftentimes more than from adults. I suggest 2 things. First, schedule a time at the end of class for them to chat with each other. It can be 5 or 10 minutes. It's up to you. You can also schedule a weekly huddle for students to get together, where they just get together with each other and you provide a little intervention. That's a time where you can provide assignments that require more collaboration among peers. For example, if you ask them to create a Google slide deck that they work on together for one project. Each student can add to a slide or to a series of slides in a team. You can also ask them to use apps that allow for open communication, like Flipgrid, which is a great resource. In that app, students submit videos in answering different questions, and they can see each other's responses. You can also use that in discussion time in class, and some LMS systems, like Schoology, allow discussion boards to include video. This is really great for students who like to see each other. Number 9, make learning fun. We know that online learning can sometimes be boring and dry, sometimes frustrating too. Make your class interesting by using a variety of assignment types. So don't only use writing assignments, but use video submissions or discussions or other types of assignments. These can also apply to technical classes like math or art. For example, a math teacher may have a writing assignment, but they can also ask students to record their screen and to share their work process for solving a problem. You can even have simple discussions about naming all of the things in a student's house that has, 3 corners, as an example. Come up with new ways to do these assignments, thinking outside of the box to make your class interesting and fun. There are other apps and games that you can use to create fun that's still educational. I mentioned Flipgrid, but there are many others as well. You can use game apps like Minecraft for education. This is a game that actually allows classes to be held inside of the game. You can have presentations, slides, and whatever, while students are still having fun. So think creatively about the goals of your class so that it's fun for students. I hope today's tips have been helpful for you to think about the future of online learning. Stay safe, and thank you for your time. Bye-bye.